Oh, man. I had to break out the Mexican restaurant, 4 margaritas deep, drunk squeal on here.
Hell yeah. We need Blaney to get one eventually.
I knew he would finally do it. I knew it would happen eventually. I didn't expect it to be here, but hell, I'm all for it. I am super ecstatic, man. Finally on the damn board with one.
Could have 2.
Not having to worry about
now
points
has 1.
anymore. Could have had 2, now has 1.
Could
yeah,
have
that's a
10
good way
points,
to put it.
But now has 5.
7. But who's counting?
He's got 2 stage wins.
Yeah, he's got 2 stage wins. One of them came in Iowa.
Here's something that I've been looking at that I guess I don't know if I've not noticed it or what. But if say you don't have a win, right?
Yeah.
And you're and they're showing the point standings and you're not in yellow. So we'll take Blaney, for example. And this is like a hypothetical situation because looking at the board, I can't remember who all's won stages throughout the year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so say Blaney, and we'll just be hypothetical here and say he's won a few stages this year before this win happened. So say he has 3 points, whatever. Do you not, do those points not show up until you get a win?
No.
So like you get the 5 points, boom, then it shows you got 8. Like you get the win, then it pops up you got 8 points.
Yeah.
Or 9 points. Okay.
Because the points it shows below the cut line are simply stage and finishing position points, but it has nothing to do with playoff points because the playoff points do not matter for regular season standings.
I gotcha.
And then once you get into the off season, that's where those points, or if you get the win, then it just shows you how many wins you got and how many total playoff points
then
you
it
got.
shows
because
up
it doesn't matter
matters.
otherwise. Yeah.
We're in the middle of the podcast.
Dawson's answering phone calls, and it's 2 minutes in. We hit the 2-minute warning. Dawson's answering phone calls out here.
I don't know how to make that.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. Somebody giving you a crock pot recipe right now,
later.
live on the air?
Okay.
I think Dawson Edwards just got a crock pot recipe live on the air.
I got a chicken.
I don't know how to make that.
Chicken brunch ring. I don't know how to make that.
That sounds way too white girl wasted for you. There's not enough mimosas in the world to turn you into that much of a basic girl.
Yeah, I'm just not laying. I'm not laying crescent rolls on a piece of paper and putting all this shit in it and then wrapping it up. That's just probably not what's gonna happen.
That sounds like some chick on TikTok in a house that's way too white with granite countertops telling you how to make some crappy food that nobody's ever going to make, and she thinks she's a genius for doing
incredible because Lindsay's sister makes it. You know what we had? You've had it as well. The morning of the wedding when everybody was drinking mimosas and stuff. That stuff that was like all chopped up that was kind of in little bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
Or that we like pulled apart or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's chicken brunch ring. It tastes great.
Gotcha.
But it's like not in my realm of things that I like to make.
Why are you getting the phone call? What event are you making this for? Supposedly.
It's for supper tonight.
Oh, gotcha. Damn. She should have just sent you a crock pot recipe, man. That's what we were looking for. It'd have been perfect. We're just off the rails immediately on this Monday morning. It's a slow start. I'm a little hungover, as you can imagine. Nothing crazy. But had a good old time yesterday.
Yeah,
Since we had our first off weekend forever where we didn't have anything scheduled. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of felt weird.
Yeah, it did. Because Allison got a call on Thursday night that Hasten, that runs Live Oak, needed a round filled from 1:30 to 5:30 yesterday on Sunday. And I didn't even know until you texted me in the morning that it was a night race that we were going to have for Iowa.
I didn't know until the day before the race. My phone, you know how me and you have the schedule on our phone?
Yeah.
Did you notice
messed up?
Originally,
it was supposed to start like 11 p.m. or midnight last night, according to the schedule.
I originally looked at the thing. I look each week to like see what the next race is.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
I swear to God, it said 3:30. I swear to God, it said 3:30. And then I saw somewhere online that it said 7. Well, then I go back and look at my phone. It said 12:30 a.m.
Yeah.
I was like, when does this race start? I don't know. And then
I think
we looked at the guide on the TV.
Yeah. I think Clint Boyer got in charge of the scheduling thing, and nobody said anything because it was just hopping all over the place. Because I noticed the same thing. I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on.
Yeah, me neither. But anyway, it found out it was a night race.
Yeah. And so we had this round that Allison had to book last minute. So she asked me to play it. We put me at 1:30 so I could try to be done by the time the race started when we thought at 2:30 because that's when it usually starts. Next thing you know, you text me in the morning. I'm like, oh, crap, babe. You're going to hate this, but this is a night race. So we hung out at Live Oak all the way from 1:30 to like 5:30 and then got back to the house, and I got here about an hour late. And one thing that I did not remember about NBC was that they do not have the BS commercial breaks that Fox does. Because that's the first thing I want to say is I'm so excited we have NBC back.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that at some point.
Oh, I'm into it right now because I told y'all I'm going to catch up because Dawson and Steven and I were texting like we always do. And I get home about 45 minutes after the race starts, and I tried to catch up because on Fox, I would say I'd probably would have caught up to y'all by about the end of stage 2 because of the number of commercial breaks and breakaways and BS that I don't want to watch. Watching on NBC, I still was behind when the race ended by like 20 to 25, 30 minutes. So that tells you there's an extra 30 minutes that I was supposed to have to catch back up to y'all in cautions, or not cautions, but commercials. That just never happened because we had NBC, and it was a killer broadcast. Every single moment of the race, you were intrigued by it. They were giving you good information the whole time. I didn't have anything I could skip. So I just had to watch the whole thing about 20 to 50 minutes behind because I couldn't catch up. And that is not a complaint. That is such a phenomenal feeling. But the race coverage was just absolutely stellar yesterday. I'm so glad we're back with NBC. I think the Jeff Gluck poll just naturally gains like 5 points per race just because NBC is the one covering it.
Yeah. It's just even just as small as just the daggum practice and qualifying and the Busch race. Just like everything leading up to it is just so much more like not a joke. It feels like
yeah,
it just feels like everything is taken seriously. It showed like I love Jeff Burton being up in the crowd. Like the Busch race had a ton of fans there. I mean, shout out to Iowa for showing out. I mean, I heard the ticket sold out within like 2 days.
2 hours.
Something like 2 hours, yeah. Something crazy. So shout out to all the people.
We had a post-race show, dude.
Dude, a post-race show that everyone was posting about on Twitter, me included.
Yeah,
like
it
showing
was awesome.
Blaney doing the hat dance, like interviewing the whole like top 10, interviewing all the guys. Like it was just like, wow, that's what you want.
And it wasn't even the BS questions that we've been getting for the first like 12 weeks. It was 3 to 4 questions that were legitimate, really good questions that the drivers had to kind of answer. It wasn't just like leaving out at the end of a sentence and just hoping they knew what to say.
Well, no matter what, if you ask questions before a race, which Fox is all about having 3 hours before the race, going off air as soon as the race is over, when it should be the opposite. You could ask every driver in the field before a race, all the answers are going to be stereotypical. It doesn't matter because all it is we got a good so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so this weekend and, you know, hoping to have a good race, yada, 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 yada. After
missed
the
a
race,
little bit in practice, but we've put some adjustments in it. We're hoping it does a little better.
After the race, you're going to get even if you ask stereotypical questions, after a race, you get unstereotypical answers because it's fresh off of what just happened.
Yeah.
Which is the best part. I mean, the post-race is, I mean, people want 30-minute pre-race, an hour, hour and a half post-race. It's always been
completely
that way.
agree.
Like, pre-race, there's only so much you can talk about.
Yeah. Completely agree with that, man. It's a lot more entertaining, too, because you get all the heat from the drivers that are mad, the disappointment from the driver that finished second, the elation of the driver that finished in first. You just don't get that before a race, and you get more storylines that way, too.
Exactly.
Ask people whenever their emotions are still high, they're going to give you something to talk about, and they're going to have something to talk about.
Yeah.
So couldn't agree more. I was really happy that they have that huge post race. They have guys sitting around a booth analyzing the race after it's done. I mean, it was a full on 30 to 45 minutes.
I don't know how long
coverage.
it was, but I watched the whole. We sat and watched all of it while we were still sitting on the couch. Like it was just like, I don't know. It's like a come down after the race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Fox leaves you hanging, and then you got to go straight to Twitter to see anything. I felt like yesterday I saw everything on the TV, and you didn't have to go to Twitter to figure out what was happening here, what was happening there, and you even got to see, like I said, Blaney do the hat dance, which is like Victory Lane stuff is just a lost cause, no matter what nowadays. It's just lost in general. So like I'm a fan of like seeing Victory Lane and seeing all the champagne and beer and body armor that gets slung everywhere. Like,
yeah,
especially as a kid. I've told this story. I don't know if I've told this story on here, but like as a kid, like a little kid, like in the summertime, like going outside and grabbing the water hose and like putting your finger over it.
Yeah.
Like over the end. It made you feel like I was like, that's how I'd be like, I'm celebrating a win. Like, spraying it
you're
everywhere.
Spraying the champagne out of the water hose.
Exactly. That's incredible. That's no longer, like, no kid that watches racing now even knows about all that stuff. Like, it was so fun to me. And maybe it was because I was a kid. I don't know. But I still seemed to enjoy it. But, like, it was so fun to me to see, like, all the guys like throwing all the beer and all the stuff, all over him. And like when Dale Jr. won a race, his thing was like he would jump off the door of the car, like into the crew guys, kind of like a stage dive kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just love the Victory Lane stuff. And apparently it was all this sponsorship deal was this whole issue back in the day. It used to be called Gatorade Victory Lane. And you had drivers that were sponsored by companies that didn't make Gatorade and this, that, and the other, and they knocked the big bottles off the top, whatever. All that's just BS in my opinion. But now it's called like the Roof Mortgage Victory Lane or
Mortgage,
some shit like that.
Victory Lane.
Well, no one's sponsored by that. So put me a little thing there on the hood of the car or on the roof of the car and let the driver get out and celebrate and get covered with confetti. That was another thing. I remember back in the day, a driver would have all the sweat and beer and all over his face. And confetti would stick to their face and stuff. And their wife or girlfriend or someone would give them a towel or like help them wipe it off. Like all of that
That's
stuff
incredible.
is just long gone that no one has seen since. Hell, I feel they've been doing Victory Lane interviews for like 10 years or something. It's been a minute since they quit doing that.
I remember them, but it's been a minute since they've been regular for sure.
Yeah.
And I want to look at the diecast I'm about to order because I have a tradition every time that Blaney wins. The first thing I do immediately is go and buy the diecast.
Yeah.
So I can get the win diecast. And I think it's projected to arrive in like February. So it's something you don't even see
for sure.
Yeah, it takes closing in on a year to get your diecast in after you order it right after the race, which I wish we could speed that process up, but I know it takes a lot more, and they've got to make a shitload of diecasts. There's only one company that really does a whole lot of it, but I wish we could get it a lot sooner because whenever it finally arrives, I almost have to remember what race he won the last year.
Yeah.
But so I bought that, and it's just cool because I get to see what it's going to look like. I get to see that it had confetti on it that's yellow and green, looking like corn, and got to see them do like holding those ears of corn up and having his 90 family members all up there. I mean, it was so much of it is so cool, and it's such a great moment that you get to witness somebody go through that you just don't get normally. So I was ecstatic too. The whole post race thing, the whole coverage, everything. NBC I even thought about it yesterday. It's like NBC genuinely cares that they're giving you quality content, whereas Fox almost just is. Well, we have NASCAR on here because it gives us a solid, 1.4 to 3.2 million viewers at one time. Gives us a lot more. It gives us something to sell ads to.
Yeah, they can
Where
sell
NBC
ads.
is almost just like, we're here to show you NASCAR. We just have to have ads to support it. Fox is saying, we need to sell advertisements and we need NASCAR because it gets enough people on there watching it to make those spots worth more.
Yeah, the more I think about it,
very obvious.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I just kind of hate that Fox is in this next deal. Like, it's just kind of like, man, like, it just comes across as they don't care.
Yeah,
You know,
they're there to sell advertisements. NBC's there to show you quality content.
Yeah,
So that's my hot take of the day.
Yeah, I want to see. Yeah, I want to. Canceling race day and just kind of half-assing the broadcast and stuff. It just kind of seems like Fox is like over it or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Getting out of Race Hub too. I mean,
yeah,
and
that's what I meant. Race Hub, not canceling race day.
Okay,
I meant Race Hub. Sorry.
But yeah, it just is. I don't know. They've done a lot for the sport in the history of Fox, and that deserves some recognition. But we're talking about right now and the quality of content that they're giving us. I mean, they're not updating their stat lines. They're not updating their graphics. They're giving us stuff from 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago.
They literally give you wrong stats on the TV.
They give you wrong stats all the time, enough so that people are just watching for it.
Yeah.
And that just tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, so it made it impossible. I watched the whole thing about 30 minutes behind. So I was watching y'all texting some stuff, and I knew that Blaney was up there and running good, and nobody was saying anything. So I was just kind of once it got to about 50 laps to go on where I was at, I just put my phone down and stopped paying attention to it just in case, because I didn't want any spoilers coming through if something happened. After Gateway, I'm a little scarred until he crosses the checkered. Until he gets the checkered flag, I don't believe anything.
Yeah, when they put the little ticker at the top and it's like a gas gauge and shows how much gas they all got left, and Blaney's was in the red, and the crew chief says they have enough gas, and it's like, I wonder if Blaney believes that.
Yeah, no, you get a little bit of PTSD on that one.
Yeah, I would assume he was gun shy on that situation there, but yeah great showing for Iowa. Everybody like going into the race, definitely Christopher Bell and all these. Even Christopher Bell after the race said like this would have been a barn burner on old Iowa, which
spoken like the top Toyota that struggled all day long to do anything over the top 5.
We'll never know. But everybody told us before the race started, before a car touched the track, that it was going to be a parade around the bottom. And that's not what happened. They had tire wear, tires mattered. You could run up, not in the gray line, but there was a second line in that darker stuff. They even talked about it in the Busch race with Jeremy Clements when he got up there, and when he stayed out, he came up, he ran that outside line, and boom, pulled back out. And then they're like, "What?" Jeremy sees that, he's like, well, "There's grip up here. I'm gonna use this," and he used that outside line to his advantage there for a little bit. But
yeah,
overall, I just thought it was a good race. I mean, there was just
it was phenomenal.
Yeah, I liked how the stages were like 70, 140, 140. I liked that. Two tires. People just had some strategy, had some. Saw what 2 tires could do. Tires did cording. Matter. Had
tire cording and everything.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I love the uncertainty of the tire situation. That is great. I wish we had that every single week somewhere.
Yeah, it was really strange too to see. It was Blaney, Logano, and there was one other car that I cannot remember right now who the third one was on that last stop that took 2 tires.
Yeah,
instead of taking 4. And when that happened, I immediately my heart sank. I was like, no way, we just pitted with 2 tires to get track position when we were in like what 6th.
Yeah, I didn't think
you gained 5 spots.
I didn't think it was going to be worth it either. Honestly.
Yeah, so apparently it was right side wear, left side tires still, just like Hamlin's always been talking about. Left side tires aren't wearing still. But it just seemed like if you did what I guess Jonathan Hassler did and set the car up with a really good balance, I think it's almost like Blaney didn't really have to worry as much. Byron too. Blaney, Byron, anybody who's running up in those top 5 spots. I feel like they didn't really have to worry about the tires going out on them quite as much as everybody else back in the pack. I don't know if that's because they're racing harder on them in the early part of the runs, trying to get track position or what, but it just seemed like it wasn't nearly as big of an ordeal for them because they were running pretty damn quick lap times.
I was about to say, I think that has a lot to do. They just had good cars.
Yeah, and I guess it was just the balance.
Good cars. Yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it because you saw Corey LaJoie put 2 tires on early in the race, and there was a couple guys that stayed out, and Larson shot the middle and had them all passed by the time they exited turn 2, and it just did not work, and they felt like rocks. And
Yeah.
I also think that the only thing that made me there's two things. One, those cars weren't as good as Blaney's, obviously, and two, it was still in the middle of the height of the racetrack as well.
Yeah. No doubt. It definitely, once it got cooled off, I think you're right. It definitely helped out with the idea of taking 2 tires really wasn't too big of a gamble.
Yeah, but it was crazy.
But it felt like one whenever they pulled it.
It did feel like one, but it was also crazy to me how they were talking about, too, with tire wear. You have tire wear, one, because it was super hot, and the track was slick and whatever, and they were going really fast in the dark asphalt. But then when it got cooler, they picked up so much speed that the extra speed made the tires wear out fast too, which was also giving me that like uncertainty to keep me what's the word, like honed in, like zoned in about the tire situation throughout the whole race. I've always loved like the Coke 600, this race, a lot of races that start one way and end a different way when it's starting the daylight in the dark.
You got to chase the track.
Yeah, I love that. And I love they talk about that. And I do remember back in the day when like they would run these races like that. And it was like, if your car, and then they talked about it on the broadcast, but it didn't really change a whole lot. But back in the day, it really was a thing. Like the guys that ran great in the daylight would usually struggle when it got dark, and the guys that struggle in the daylight shined after the sun went down. And that was like a lot of I remember it being like a Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson thing, like at the Coke 600. Like he would start, they set that car up for nighttime racing. Then when it went at the end when it mattered, and I remember vividly back in the day how they would shine when the sun went down at tracks like that. So
yeah,
it's not as big a deal now, but it was enough of a deal for them to talk about and keep everyone interested in the tire wear situation.
Yeah, no doubt. It was just weird to see so many guys falling out with tires, and it was like that good balance that we were hoping for with Bristol in the spring next year, because we kept on saying like maybe this was a little bit on the extreme side of tire wear, like maybe we don't need them wearing out in 40 laps, but could we get them to where they wear out in like 80 to 100, so you're managing a bit of a longer run. I feel like it's exactly what we got here. You had guys that could manage those tires and make them last for a while, and then you have some guys that are just driving their ass off and end up blowing rights at some point in the middle of the run, and about like 40 to 60 laps depending. And then you had guys like Blaney and Byron, and Larson was able to do this a pretty good bit, running really long and gaining a lot of track position and still having tires on by the end.
Yeah,
so it was fun to see that.
I think
it was the great balance.
Still comes down to the driver knowing that he has to not run the wheels off the car, which is great. It makes for great racing where you're not running every single lap, all out.
Yep, exactly like what Alan Gustafson was telling Chase Elliott yesterday. Just like, take care of me on the beginning and I'll take care of you on the end.
Yeah. It just makes for better racing all the way around when you have the comers and goers and the guys that go too hard and the guys that know what they're saving and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So it just barn burner all the way from beginning to end. And I mean the Jeff Gluck poll, always a great place to look. 92% yes.
Yeah, it was.
That's
a
short track with 92%.
Man, I did see a post though. I can't remember if Alex Bowman said this. Alex Bowman did say this at some point, but basically all it took to build a good short track is have a short track that races like a mile and a half, and you'll have a good race. And he's right. He's right in a way. I mean, he is right in a way. So,
spoken like a guy who's been struggling all year and just suddenly got himself a top 10 on one. So
who has a lot of top 10s this year though?
Who?
Alex Bowman.
He does. He quietly has a bunch of top 10s.
He has like 10 top 10s, I think.
Yeah, wild to think for somebody sitting 12th in the point standings. I mean, that's about where you'd expect him to be running.
Yeah.
He's quietly putting together a good year. You know what's also wild? Chase Elliott's now your regular season points leader.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he's done that super quietly too. I mean, he's just been running up front, getting stage points every week. He's not leading a ton of laps, so I don't feel like you hear his name as much, but he's there every single week. He's there. Got an 8-point lead over Larson.
It's great. It's so good that he's running that way. But one thing that I hate is it just doesn't matter. And I hate that for him. But it's like if this was 1999, his points lead would be huge because he's so consistent, and that's what it was all about back in the day. And then now, what does it matter that he's consistent and running well and up there every single week? Has the most top fives. I think he has the most top tens. It's like, well, good for you, but that doesn't mean anything in the championship hunt. And
yes and no. I would make the argument. I would make an argument that puts you as a pretty good favorite to reach the round of 8 or the final 4. And I mean, if you're running in the top 5, top 10 spots, I think that gains that confidence that we're here, we can win any week. So you're walking into every single week saying, I got a great damn car and I could win. Winning that regular season points championship, or even getting second and third, because there are small point prizes for getting those. That puts you into a great position. As soon as you enter that postseason, you got the extra benefit of playoff points that you've been accruing all year, and potentially a regular season championship worth a good few points. Plus, running up there in those top spots, you're getting great stage points throughout the playoffs, all the way up through every single round. And we've seen Matt Crafton, granted this is in the Truck Series, we've seen Matt Crafton win this playoff format without actually winning a single race in the season.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to do that. You're not going to have that in Cup. You're still going to have to get a win in the postseason. Don't get me wrong. I ain't saying that. But it shows you that consistency in terms of finishing in the top 5 every week. Like, if you're able to run up front every single week, consistently will get you a long way down the road. It's not going to do everything, but it will get you a lot further than inconsistent paths with a couple wins scattered in there, here and there.
Yeah, I guess it's like seeing William Byron yesterday on the post race, his interview. It's like, well, it's kind of what we were talking about last week. Like Byron comes out, boom, gonna win 3 races in the first 8 races or whatever it was, 7 races. And then he just goes away.
William Byron getting 3 wins early in the season.
He just goes away, and it's been that way for 2 years now. And then that's the first time he's been back up in relevant and it feels like a long time to me. I don't know what Willie B's stats are, but it just he just goes away in the summertime. He's not a summertime driver. I don't know what it is, but he goes away.
3 wins and 6 top 5s in 17 races this year, with 1 stage win.
And I feel like 5 of those top 5s all came at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yesterday was
and obviously 3 of them were the wins that he got earlier in the year.
Yeah, totally.
So it is funny, but I thought for a second he was going to get the lead back from Blaney. I think it was about 12 to go, 10 and 12 to go. He was catching him a good little bit.
He did, but then it went right back. As soon as they brought it up on the broadcast, it went right back down like a 10th the next lap, because they even talked about the broadcast. Blaney had such a good car. As soon as he saw him coming out, or when I can't remember if he was around a lap car or whatever, it just went right back, because it was 6/10.
Yeah,
they brought it up because he had knocked it down, and then boom, went right back to 7/10. And I was like,
well, yeah, and they put it pretty well.
They fluffed it up more than I think it really was.
Yeah, well, they even said in the middle of it, they're like, the good thing for Blaney is that it doesn't matter where he catches these lap cars, he can make a pass on the inside or the outside. But it seems like Byron needed that outside lane to be working for him, because if he got down to the bottom, it took him an extra couple corners to finish a pass on the inside, even for a slow lap car.
Yeah,
where Blaney could go inside or outside. Sometimes take it 3 wide to get around a couple guys, and he can usually do it in a set of corners.
Yeah. So Blaney just had one of the best cars. If Larson didn't get wrecked, I think it was going to be a hell of a battle for the race win. But when Larson got wrecked, dude, I was like, this is Blaney's race to lose.
Yeah, I mean, it was Larson's race to lose, but until he put it 3 wide there, and
he lost it.
Yeah, so that was, I even texted y'all that after. I was like, Blaney was the second fastest car out there, man. But doesn't matter when the fastest car it doesn't finish the race. That'll pretty much
Yeah.
seal the deal for you.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to bring up too this Kyle Busch situation. Gateway, Sonoma, and this weekend, Kyle Busch has had top 10 speed, well into the top 10 speed, running great, and something has happened.
Yep.
And he gained 3 points yesterday.
Yeah.
3
we're talking about the
points.
guy that's sitting underneath the cut line right now.
3 points he gained. Not gained. I mean, he got 3 points yesterday for showing up to Iowa. I don't mean he gained 3 points on anyone. He lost points, obviously. I mean, he got awarded 3 points for showing up. Even like Larson having the ending of the race being bad, Larson still got 22 points.
Yeah.
Which is semi one of those deals, like I think Denny Hamlin talks about it a lot. It's like if you can make it to the third stage and you ran good and you got stage points and won a stage, whatever, that can make a bad day not feel so bad. So when they put the points up at the end of the day and I saw Larson getting 22, it's like, yeah, that's a good day. That's not a 3-pointer.
And to put it in perspective, the guys that had around the same number of points that he did ran 14th, 15th, 16th. So Larson basically had a 15th place car.
Yes. That's
as
the
much
way
as it sucks to miss out on the final points payoff, he at least accrued enough stage points and did well enough in the stages where he basically finished in 14th.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean by that. And then you have the Kyle Busch, man, I think he is so over all of this. I sent you the video on I can't remember if it was on TikTok or Twitter, but they're asking him, he literally says in an interview, he's like, if Hendrick Motorsports called, I would go. If Joe Gibbs called, I would go. He seems so over this 8 car and the situation. I mean, it's just like from the comments he made during the Stenhouse situation, like I suck and all this, to that.
Yeah.
And then having this speed, he's not contending for race wins, but he did have at Gateway, Sonoma, and this weekend top 10 speed to get taken out where they're just, I mean, in the point situation, they cannot afford those days, even though they're happening. But he just seems he is so over the 8 car and RCR, like it is not even funny. Kyle Busch is not good at hiding stuff, and he just says, like I said, if you haven't seen that video, I sent it to you on a text where he was like, if Hendrick called, I would answer and go, and if Gibbs called, I would answer and go.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what's going on at that shop. I mean, it just seems like he's the only one there. It's hard to even say that even he gives a crap anymore, but he seems like he's the only one there who is outside of the pit crew. You know, the pit crew is probably working their ass off to try to do everything they can, but it's like, what is going on from the top down that is creating this situation for him? You can just see everything you need to see in the fact that we still have Austin Dillon running that 3 car. Underperforming, not doing anything, but he stays in it.
36th.
Granted, I'll give him a little bit of a pass. He was the first one out on the track in Group A for qualifying, so he kind of there wasn't much he was going to be able to do with that.
Totally.
Especially having watched that qualifying session. But the only reason you start first in a qualifying session is performing poorly up until that moment. So he kind of sets himself up for that situation. And you got him just running like crap every single week, not being able to do anything. And they're keeping him in the car, it just tells you everything you need to know about the organization. That apparently winning doesn't matter as much as having Austin Dillon run this car. We have Kyle Busch in here. Kyle Busch was supposed to come in and solve all the problems RCR's ever had. And even Kyle Busch is just ready to jump ship. He's done with it.
Did you happen to hear Radioactive last week at Sonoma?
No, I did not.
We might have to find this and clip it and post it on the socials for people that didn't, because I can't remember exactly what Austin Dillon says. But before the race, RC gets on the radio, and he's like, all right, boys, let's have a good day. How about this, buddy? Let's go get a win. And it's right at the beginning of the clip. So if you're going to find it's on, maybe you can find
I'm not looking up the clip. I'm looking up a different thing. But
Austin Dillon literally comes back with it almost sounds like he's like, let's just have a good day or something like this. Like, he has no confidence. He knows he is not going to go out, especially at a road course, and win. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though Richard Childers is like, let's go get us a win today. Is Richard Childers delusional, or is he really think that he can win in that car, or what? I don't know, but it's almost like sarcastically, Dylan's like, yeah, let's just go have a good day. Or
and you
something
want me to hit you with
lines.
something even better to build off of what you just told me?
Always.
Austin Dillon is a realist, and he understands that getting a win in this car is probably not in the cards for him. But keep in mind that for the playoffs in NASCAR, even if Austin Dillon was able to go out and win a race tomorrow, gets a fluke Coke 600 win like he did that one year, fuel mileage, doing something, whatever it takes for him to get a win, Austin Dillon is still, with a win, not qualified to be in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs because he is 32nd in points right now. So not only does Austin Dillon, you have to be in the top 30.
Do you realize how shitty it is to even how bad you got to be 32nd in points?
Yes,
he's back there with like Harrison Burton and Zane Smith.
We're talking 30th place, Justin Haley driving the 51 no-name machine that never has
Who finished 13th yesterday. 13th, dude.
And ran top 10 all day.
And ran
Corey
top
LaJoy
10.
in 29th. John Hunter Nemechek in 28th. 27th, Ryan Preece. 43 and 26. We're talking guys that are struggling for teams that are still building and trying to figure themselves out right now. These guys are beating Austin Dillon, driving the most iconic number in NASCAR. And they're eligible for the playoffs, and that iconic number is not eligible for the playoffs right now. Justin Haley is 180 points out of the playoff cutoff line as it stands in 30th. So who knows where Austin Dillon is, but he's ranked in 32nd right now, 300 with 229 points. So it looks like he's maybe like 6 points lower than Justin Haley. So Justin Haley is barely, but still outrunning him as of this year.
You nailed it. You said it just a few minutes ago. There is no winning culture at RCR anymore. It's okay to be mediocre.
Yeah. But they're going to hire one of the best drivers to ever do it to go run mediocre. He's not going to stay there.
No, dude. Kyle Busch still has years left in the tank. And he said in that interview he is under contract through next year, which means he will 99.9% chance he is in that 8 car next year. I'd be willing to bet after next year he is not in that 8 car and he is somewhere. If this is my hot take, bold prediction of the day. After 2025, Kyle Busch is either done with Cup racing or if he doesn't have an opportunity to go to a race-winning team. It's either going to be a race-winning team or he's done. He is not going to continue to run like this.
Or he goes to Joe Gibbs or Hendrick and says, please, God, buy out my fucking contract so I can get out of here. I just do not want to be here anymore. Pull a Tyler Reddick.
Go back
announce that you're going to somewhere in 2026 and hope that RC gets so pissed off that he gets you out of there by the end of next year.
Turn the 19 into the 18 and bring him back.
Dude, I'd be so down for that.
I mean, I'm just saying, man, it's just he's not going to stay. He is not going to stay there. There's no way he is going to stay in that car.
He's so beyond over it. And
you just brought up, same thing with Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick goes out there and wins races and then gets the opportunity, boom. He's out the door, baby. He is gone.
I think Tyler Reddick saw something coming. I think he knew something was happening there that just wasn't going to be good.
Well, I mean, if you got the opportunity to run at Richard Childers or go to one of the newest up-and-coming teams.
And work for Michael Jordan
and
Denny Hamlin. Yeah.
Sounds like a good deal.
I'd have done it too. But
I just had to bring that up. That was just had to.
Just what a rough way to go for the man.
I posted on Twitter about Kyle Busch the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And, man, it's just going to make him drive unnecessarily even harder than he has to drive, and he's going to keep putting himself in bad situations.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what driving gets you, is bad situations.
No freaking doubt. I completely agree.
And we brought up on this podcast, was it last week or the week before last, the whole RCR Inspire conversation.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago.
This is going to be an ongoing thing to keep an eye on for the rest of this year and potentially next year of what is going on.
Yeah. Completely agree. There's just so much, so many things up in the air. There's so many opportunities out there right now that I'd almost be pissed if I was Kyle Busch and I was locked into a contract for next year, because there's opportunity
exactly. I agree
in
with
500
you 100%.
different spots right now. Who knows what opportunities are going to be available, because every one of those more than likely will be a multi-year deal that gets signed up for. So all those rides that are opening up right now are going to be locked in by the time that you're available.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of situations I can think of where anybody's going to retire in the next couple of years out of a really competitive race car.
The year to be a free agent is now. I mean, with all the stuff that's moving around and opportunities and such, like, and Truex retiring, and didn't see Chase Briscoe being the number one guy for that car. But I take what Bob Parker says and believe it. Like, he's the top candidate for that 19 ride next year. Which is
I do too, but Ford
crazy.
is all about Chase Briscoe. I have a feeling it's going to be hard to get him to split with Ford.
It's just like Bob Parker said. Someone brought that up, and he said, when JGR calls, you listen.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, if JGR's calling, you got to take the phone call.
Yeah, so that's the thing. And Toyota is just Dave Wilson. I saw a post that he made. So if anybody saw, obviously, Denny Hamlin, after the Truex retirement, says I'll have a Daytona 500 car ready for him if he says go, we'll have it ready. Daytona 500. Dave Wilson retweets the interview that Denny's on saying this, and says something along the lines of, like, basically put Toyota's name on the door, like, we're ready.
Hell yeah.
Like, fired up, we're ready to go, TRD and engine and horsepower and this, that, and other, and basically saying, like, we'll fund it. You don't even have to have Bass Pro or whatever. Like, we will fund this situation.
Hell yeah.
And it's just like, that guy, I like that guy. Remember when we talked about on here? Remember when we talked about on here when he said, he's like, we'll build a 1,000 horsepower engine tomorrow. I don't care. I want to see good race and all this. And we've talked about him before on this podcast, but I like the guy a lot. Like, I love the stuff he says on Twitter. He is so invested and involved in just making Toyota be badass and horsepower and all the things. Like, he seems like the common man. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't come across as the big CEO of Toyota Racing. He comes across as like a man of the people. Which is
he wants the same things that we want.
He wants
good racing.
Yeah, and I love that. And I'm a big fan of that guy. And I just wanted to throw that out there. That was a really cool, another little tidbit that he put out there that I really enjoyed.
Heck yeah, I'm all about it, man. Speaking of Toyotas, I was surprised how much they struggled last night. It almost seemed like Toyota never really could quite figure anything out. Even Christopher Bell had a lot of complaints about his car and finished in fourth.
I wanted to bring up yesterday, just off the truck, straight up watching a race, has to be, without a wreck involved, without Denny Hamlin like wrecking and then running back, has to be one of the most straight up, heads up worst I've ever seen Denny Hamlin run, possibly in my whole life.
Yeah, it was just bad. He said plowing, can't turn it, nothing.
Dude, he came out of the gate, and I think he was running about 11th, and they popped on there, and they start talking about him. And in my mind, when they said he was dropping, I was like, oh, the first thing that popped up was like 20th. I don't know why. That was just when they're talking about him, I was like, oh, he's probably about 20th. They said 34th, and Larson was like 2/10 off of his ass about to lap him. I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah,
he's
dude,
running like Austin. Bad. He ran like Austin Dillon yesterday.
He did. Because, I mean, you had Christopher Bell in fourth. The next highest Toyota is Martin Truex in 15th.
Yeah, Truex had a bad day, too.
Yeah.
He had
then it's Wallace, then it's Reddick, and then you get the other JGR guys, Denny, Ty Gibbs, and then John Hunter down there and Eric Jones down there in 32nd. But, I mean, all these guys are finishing like 22nd and worse.
It
was just so weird. I don't get it. I guess it's a short track thing. They must just struggle on these things. But
I thought they were the short track guys.
I thought earlier
Toyota
this year they were,
short
man.
Track, they were the short track cars.
Ford was showing up on short tracks for sure. I feel like Chevy was the one on the back foot then, but now it seems like Chevy's figured out whatever they were missing, and Toyota's just got nothing for them. It's just Fords and Chevys up here in the top 10. Mostly Chevys, but yeah, just a struggle, man. Just a wild struggle all day long.
Yeah, it was weird. Really
bad
weird
day to be a Yoder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was strange, but man, it just seems like Ford and Chevy's just got something figured out on these low downforce tracks that Toyota just can't compete with.
It just happened literally like overnight. It seems like, because at the beginning of this year, Toyota was your short. We talked about it on this podcast. It's short tracks, like betting all Toyotas.
Yeah. No, you just can't do that. But that's the thing, is as the year goes on, things develop, people find stuff, people put some extra work in here. Is it an engine thing? Is it an aero thing? There's always something to be found, so who knows? Maybe they just lost something.
I don't know exactly what Ford did with the engine and what they found and all the stuff, but it was something with the engine, something with horsepower, and it is helping them tremendously.
Oh, dude, it is a complete game changer. They're competitors every single week now.
Also, I want to throw this out here, now that it's an every week thing as of this week. There was a couple Fords that started putting the Ford logo back on the nose a couple weeks ago, and now every Ford has the Ford logo on the nose. Now we can look at the front of a Ford when it just looks like a black test car on the grill with that. The body looks awesome, but you cannot even tell that it's a Mustang logo. I brought that up on here early in the season, posted about it a bunch on Twitter. Finally, as of this past weekend, they got a blue oval on the hood of the car.
It cracks me up how much that fires you up, and it's just been something I have not even once noticed.
It has bugged the shit out of me since I saw the car the first time I saw it earlier this year.
It's so fun. You are so much more about the cosmetics of the car than I am. I mean, I love the paint jobs as a whole, but I'm not looking at all the tiny, tiny little details like that.
Even they take pictures. You got to zoom in to see the Mustang logo, like the horse, the Mustang on the nose.
It just cracks me up, man.
Well, I just want to put that out there because apparently I'm not the only one that thought it.
I know there's a bunch of folks out there that are so about those little details, and I'm just like, man, I as long as the racing's good, I just doesn't bother me.
I mean, it doesn't make me lose sleep at night, but I'm glad they're there.
Yeah, just a big Ford fan. Just felt like he wasn't getting enough recognition.
Pretty much.
Oh golly, man. Couple other surprises was Ricky Stenhouse and Josh Berry. They were running like hell yesterday. It was wild. Stenhouse, you can tell he just had some confidence coming back to the track.
One of his best tracks. He was like Busher back in the day at that track.
Yeah.
That's someone who struggled that I talked highly on last week that did not have a good run.
Yeah. It was like him and Brad. Well, Brad running better just whenever.
Or 10th, I think.
Yeah, 10th. And it was only because he was making some bold strategy calls to get up there to the front sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Busher was struggling.
Yeah, I laid a fat egg.
Seemed like they just missed
putting Busher, all the confidence I had in Busher.
Yeah, I think they just missed their setup or something. It just seemed like they never really quite had it figured out.
I should have known. I should have known about Ricky being so good at Iowa. He's the one that won that race we talked about. But I should have brought that up last week. Like, he ran great at Iowa as well.
Yeah, he was my bet of the week. I put $2 down that Stenhouse would finish in the top 10. The only thing I wish I did was put him for a top 5. But I mean, still, that $2 turned into $24, so it helped pay for part of my diecast.
Yeah, I didn't put but one bet this past week, and it was Larson because I was so confident that he was going to win. And it was
I had a bet on him to win, too.
It was looking great until it wasn't.
I never bet on Larson to win because the line's usually super terrible. But when I saw him at $5.50 to win, I was like, I'll take that. And then I put 80 or 90 cents down on Blaney to win the race, and ended up getting $8 out of that too. So
damn.
got two solid winners. I'm up for the week. I think I doubled my money. Had a few other bets that
There
missed,
you go.
but I had Michael McDowell finishing in the top 10. He was doing that for most of the race, and then laid a fat flat tire on the apron.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, but that good week for the bets on my end. But obviously, come around next week, talk to me then. We'll see how that story changes.
Yeah.
Because we're going to New Hampshire. Shoot, I'm just gonna pick
Christopher Bell.
Christopher Bell to win.
Yeah.
And I'll probably, you know what? I'll probably put a bet down that Eric Amarola is going to win that race too.
I want to. We haven't even spoke about this. We have not even spoke about this outside the podcast. But did you know that Eric Amarola's contract got like terminated and it went away for Joe Gibbs?
No, I did not know that. I haven't noticed him being in the car recently, but no,
Yeah,
I did not.
every race that Ty Gibbs has ran in that car was supposed to be an Eric Amarola race.
Really? Do you know why?
No, I don't. I saw some stupid fucking rumor that him and Bubba Wallace got into a fight, but I don't believe that.
I mean, what would they have to fight about?
I don't know, but I don't believe that that's the reason why. But I saw that, and a couple weeks ago when it got brought, it's been very pushed under the rug. Even Ty Gibbs won't talk much about it. But they're interviewing him and all this stuff, and he didn't know he was going to run the race until the Friday before the Saturday race. And they're asking him questions about it, and he was like, I don't know, didn't know what to say, just like, I didn't know I was doing this until yesterday.
Eric Amarola and Joe Gibbs racing, man, you never know. You never know what's going to happen with those two. They're just almost like super cold relationship that kind of happened and kind of not really sure about each other.
The funny thing is, I've been meaning to bring that up to you, like not even on the podcast, but I've been meaning to bring that up for like a month now.
Interesting.
And it's
I got a good little bit of drama for no reason.
Yeah, so I'm wanting to know. Like everybody on Twitter is also wanting to know. Like there's posts like, what in the world could have happened here?
Who knows?
Something
Maybe
happened.
Amarola just decided he just didn't really care.
No longer there, and he is not racing for Joe Gibbs in the Xfinity Series. He's not doing the 20. He was supposed to do like 25 races this year, which is like what, all of them, but like 8 or 7, something like that. Like, yeah, he was supposed to be in that car.
Damn. That's wild. No, I didn't even know. If you would ask me something about Eric Amarola, I'd be like, yeah, man, I haven't seen him in a while.
Exactly.
I've been expecting to see him in a lot more races.
I knew you would notice that he hadn't been around.
I hadn't noticed, but as soon as you said his name, I was like, I haven't heard about him in a minute. I thought he was supposed to be running a lot more, but I mean, we're always working on Xfinity Series race days, so I never hardly get to watch him. We were at a farmer's market Saturday while that was going on, just touring around, doing a bunch of stuff around the house. So I
watched the whole entire Xfinity race, whole entire Cup race this week for the first time probably all year that I got to watch a whole Busch race.
I know, a whole weekend of racing is just something we don't get to see very often anymore. We're going to get basically another one this week. I don't know how many. What's on the slate for this week? Xfinity Series and Cup Series. I always forget on these one-offs which series goes and which doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
New Hampshire, though, dude. I don't know. What do you? I mean, Bell's going to be the pick, but it's also like these flat, short track top tracks were the ones they dominated, and like we just said, they did not look great. It's like they
didn't look great here, which is kind of surprising because it's very similar to Richmond. I mean, they even tell you on the broadcast that Iowa was designed by Kenny Wallace, who loved Richmond.
Rusty Wallace.
So
yes.
Rusty Wallace, sorry. So going to New Hampshire being a larger, flatter track, I'm going to have to say that Christopher Bell is going to be the favorite, and I think that stays. I think that sticks. I don't think that goes away.
Truex
for me. I think he's going to run really good. Will he run good, though? I feel like he's kind of struggled this year.
I don't know.
Even on tracks he's supposed to be good at.
Denny Hamlin's running great here. Truex is running great here. Bell's running great here, which are all 3 Toyotas or Joe Gibbs guys. When Kyle Busch was in a Joe Gibbs car, he ran great here. He's got him a few lobsters hanging on the wall. It's just I would not put money on Kyle Busch, though, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, he's way too cold.
I would not.
He's way
Mom,
too
if
cold.
You're listening, don't put Kyle Busch in your top 5.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, I don't really know. I just it's kind of I don't know. New Hampshire is a New Hampshire is one of those races that's either like awesome and there's a bump and run and beating and banging, or it's just the duddest of all duds. There's just no
the
in between.
duddest of all duds.
There's no in between for New Hampshire. It's I feel like it's always been that way.
So since February of 2021, this is recent races at New Hampshire. Listed in order of average finish. I'm going to eliminate anybody that's on here that is no longer running because Matt DiBenedetto and Kevin Harvick both pop up on this list. So your top driver, who do you think the top current driver in NASCAR, best average finish, who do you think it is?
Is it Bell?
No, it is not Bell. Bell is not even in the top 5 of this stat. Best average finish, and the average finish is 5th. If you had to make a guess, outside of Christopher Bell, if you had to find one person, who you think? I don't think it's going to be who you think it is.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to take too long.
Brad Keselowski.
Brad K. He has some wins. Yeah, he's got some wins there.
And this is only since February of 2021.
Okay.
So this is basically next gen plus the year before.
Yeah.
So out of the 3 races that we've had, Brad has an average finish of 5th with 2 top 5s, and the last race was a top 10.
Sounds like money at Big Bad Brad. Put some money on Big Bad Brad.
Yeah, Big Bad Brad, and Ford's been running really good lately, so he might be
like
a
a good
good
bet to me.
snake in the grass right there. Then you got Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, and Bubba Wallace. So, and those average finishes, it tells you a lot, especially with only a 3-race sample size. To have a good average finish, you're going to have to, 1, finish all the laps, and 2, finish all the laps in a good spot. It just surprises me that Christopher Bell isn't higher up in that list.
Do you know why, though? Because he had one,
because he
one
runs
race
really
there.
good.
There's one race there where he had something happen and finished like 30-something. Had a really bad race. One bad race. Because there's something about, like, he has more wins than, like, he's won more races there in the trucks. I don't know, it's something crazy. Like, every race has been in the top 5, but, like, 2.
And he's got 1 win and 2 top 5s. So you're right. Christopher Bell did have one race that had something wild happen to him.
Yeah, that's why his average finish. And I think he was, like, leading when that happened.
And the only other driver that I named is Martin Truex that has a win at this track. Everybody else is the only other win that's on this list out of the 3 races that they went to was Eric Almirola. So it was Almirola, Christopher Bell, and Martin Truex was your 3 winners. So yes, I mean, Christopher Bell still is your favorite there.
Yeah.
By leaps and bounds, but I think Brad is a phenomenal great pick for a top 5. Maybe if you're feeling froggy, go for that win, but I feel like his average for a top 5 or his odds for a top 5 are going to be high enough to where it's more worth it to put money there than hope for him to get that win.
Yeah.
And put your money more on Christopher Bell to weight that for the win.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So there's Brandy, there's your picks for the weekend. Sorry it took us 58 minutes to get them to you, but we'll get there. But yeah, so it's one-off race, New Hampshire. I love that we have the weekend off so we can kind of watch it. This is a much more of a technical race. I feel like this is one where the yellows don't usually come out a ton. I feel like it's a little bit more of a strategy game, long run kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, New Hampshire is definitely low on my list of favorite races.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
I'm just part of it. That's the reason they only get 1 race a year.
Yeah. New Hampshire is just New Hampshire.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, when the chase first started, New Hampshire was always the first race of the playoffs.
Yeah. It always gave them something to brag about.
That's what I remember about New Hampshire. I remember Michael Waltrip and Robbie Gordon getting into it at New Hampshire. The awesome helmet throw that hit Waltrip right at the crossbar on the winning net. Perfect bullseye throw. That's up there. Yeah, it's just not. I love the trophy. The 24-pound lobster they got this year is humongous. I love that. That's cool. It's always funny to see the little drivers who are scared to touch the lobster. Christopher Bell's probably one of those. He's scared of snakes and everything else. We actually have I sent Caleb. Caleb's got a couple pictures. I got a couple pictures of Christopher Bell. When we do start the C-Bell hate page,
That's going to be the profile picture.
We got a lot of contenders for a profile picture. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, man, it's just New Hampshire. It's not my most favorite race of the year is all I got to say.
Well, let's put it this way. Anytime that we've not looked forward to a racetrack after the slog of April,
been great. Yeah.
It's been great. So I have a feeling that you never know with this next-gen car. Sometimes it pulls out a banger from what should have been a dud.
If they go out there and they got high tire wear, we might see some cool stuff go down.
Yeah, we could. Since we're already an hour in now, I feel like it's time to get to everyone's favorite portion of the day, Hack of the Week. And I already know exactly who you're going to say.
I bet you don't.
I guess I don't then.
You're going to think I'm going to say Daniel Suarez.
Daniel Suarez.
That's who you thought I was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel Suarez, man. I don't even know how long Daniel Suarez is going to be in a Cup car. He's kind of on the Austin. He runs better than Austin Dillon, but man.
He's got to win in Atlanta. That's what's keeping him in that seat
wide,
right now.
But the 99 could not hold his line. I mean, it just is what it is.
See, that's the part of it, though, that I was getting at is I feel like Iowa, you watch that. Iowa is a great case study on how hard it is to turn a car to the left in NASCAR. Everybody always thinks, oh, it's just cars driving around in circles. It was, and I'm getting somewhere with this, I promise. Everybody always thinks it's just cars turning left in a circle. But if you put that car at a particular angle, it's going to turn that corner like a mother. It's going to be awesome. You're going to skate right through that corner. You come in there just a little bit too deep, angled a little bit too much towards the wall, and you've got to add so much extra wheel input, so much extra force into getting your car to rotate around the center that you could watch it happen on the track. And I genuinely think that when Daniel Suarez entered that corner, he entered it in a little deeper than he necessarily needed to, not anticipating a 3-wide moment coming out of that. And in order to hold his spot, there was only so much that he could do to hold it when suddenly he's got a car on his outside and he can't catch himself. Because as soon as Larson put it in that position, Suarez was screwed. He would have been fine at 2 wide, but once it was forced 3 wide, there was just no way. And I don't think Larson anticipated that.
Yeah, I just wish he would have never forced it when he had a car that good. Yeah. I was also even more pissed at Denny Hamlin for being 2 laps down and just knocking the shit out of Larson for no reason. And then gets out of the car and typical Denny, it's not my fault. I got into the gas too soon, yada, 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 whatever. That pissed me off. But my hack of the week, and this is just one of the goofiest things I've ever seen in my life, so I just have to give it the hack of the week, is Hocevar hitting Zane Smith.
We're doing the same thing.
Zane Smith hitting Corey LaJoie. I've never in my life seen.
It was so freaking funny.
It was the goofiest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen in my life a 3-car team knock out, like all hit each other to cause a wreck their car. It's just hilarious. Like, it was just man, that was the goofiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That was my hack of the week, too. We agree on a hack of the week this week because that was immediately what I was going to pick.
That's funny.
It was just the freaking 3-car pinball machine out there. And the only people that they ever touched was each other.
Yeah. That was just like, that was the best part. Like I said, goofiest part. There was no one else involved in the wreck but the Spire cars.
Yeah,
and it was so
Spire amazing.
A Spire wreck. Ping pong. My favorite part too was, and the only reason I caught this was at they showed a snippet of the replay before they showed the replay, and I saw Hocevar. Only reason I saw the colors of his car, and he was crooked when they showed it. But then they show originally just a snippet of the replay is just Smith getting into Corey LaJoie, and as soon as they said it, I was like, oh my God, please tell me that Hocevar hit Smith into Corey LaJoie. And they showed it next, and boom, that is what happened. I was like, wow, that couldn't be more perfect.
Incredible. Oh, damn. You got double hack of the week. That's a double hack right there.
Oh, it was just hilarious.
It was incredible. I laughed when it happened. I'm still laughing now.
What
What a moment.
What about Carson Hocevar outrunning Corey LaJoy 99% of the time?
Oh, I'm here for it.
It's
just shows you he's got a lot of talent.
Hilarious.
He's got a lot of talent. I think Corey
LaJoy talks like Tarzan, drives like Jane.
I don't know that I would say that as much as I would say that he got talked about like Tarzan.
It just cracks me up. I mean, I like Corey LaJoy. I like Corey LaJoy. It's fine. It's just
I do too, but I think a really good Atlanta run a year and a half ago was everything he needed to get his name out there. But the problem was now you're in the spotlight a lot more than you used to be, and you've got really good teammates coming up behind you that are outrunning you now. You've got to either back it up or you're going to get forgotten about. As soon as a rookie starts outrunning you when you have multiple years of experience in the Cup Series with a suddenly much more competitive car than you've ever had, and a rookie teammate comes in and starts outrunning you immediately,
yeah,
right after you got the best shot in the arm to your PR campaign you've ever had, it's a bad spot to be in. And he's just not doing what he needed to do.
Him in Atlanta?
Him in Atlanta, and then all of a sudden, he was everybody's favorite at Talladega, everybody's favorite at Daytona, July. I mean, it just suddenly every time we were at a drafting track or every time we were at a track that Spire's ever done anything good at, you just heard about Corey LaJoy so much more than you ever had before.
Yeah,
and all of it was based on a really good run one time at one race, it was a double-edged sword. He both got all this new attention. But now he's got to go out there and back it up, and he's not backing it up. So he's in an awkward spot.
Here is the biggest kick in the ass of a stat that I've not ever heard. But if I was Corey LaJoy, I would lose sleep about this stat at night time. Do you know how many top 10s Corey LaJoy has in a non-drafting track?
None.
0.
Not a one. Goose egg.
You know how many Carson Hocevar has?
I think 2 now.
More than 0. You know how many races Carson Hocevar's raced? Like 20.
Not nearly
he has
as
20
many.
Cup starts.
Yeah. On one hand, that says a lot towards Carson Hocevar's talent.
Yeah, I'm here.
But on the other hand, it tells you where Corey could be running. It tells a lot about his talent.
Yeah, dude. Like, that's a tough pill to swallow there. I would be... That's tough. That's tough there. I mean, damn. He is.
Yeah.
Corey LaJoy has won me money, good money, like for plus money wise, good money at plate tracks in Atlanta, whatever. I have bet him there, and he has like multiple top 5s and top 10s and all that. That's great, but to have 0, I never would have guessed that until I saw it on paper from reliable people. If you said how many top 10s does Corey LaJoy have not on plate tracks, I would have guessed a few. Just happened to get there a couple times, at least, a few times, whatever. It's 0, dog.
Just none.
Just goose egging it. And I'm like, wow, that is just how
mind blowing.
I would just be, even if you didn't have a teammate that was outrunning you, I would be. That's brutal.
That's a devastating stat.
Like, I just would assume you just happen to be in the top 10 at least once.
Yeah.
Not even once. I would have guessed a few times. Like, not that he runs top 10 every week, but I mean, come on. Like, I figured some attrition and some shit would happen where he'd be in the top, just, found his way into the top 10 at some point. But 0 is a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it tells you a lot for sure.
That's brutal. Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page about that. That's rough.
We'll see how much longer he has that ride. I mean, I'm not calling him to get out of it next year or anything, but I mean, he's going to have to put something together.
I think he's in the same boat. He's under contract like Kyle Busch for next season as well.
I mean, he's sitting 29th in the point standings. Don't get me wrong.
Not that anyone's knocking on Corey LaJoy's door or anything, but
yeah. But still, it's just an interesting spot to be in. So he's got at least, I would think, another year to put it all together, but he better get on it.
Yeah.
He better get on it. We're going to need a playoff run
said the same exact thing. Like, he's got one more year to do something, and like if he doesn't do something within the rest of this year and next year, then it's going to be probably in hot water, if I had to guess.
And it's going to be a hard sell for any other team unless it was a team that just needs someone with experience to go out there and finish races for him.
He just hasn't. Yeah, it's like just keep saying that's a tough pill to swallow for that to be that way.
Absolutely.
But it do be like that sometimes.
Well, for trade and paint portion of the day, I've got to give it to Chastain again. Busch Beer just knows how to show up with a good-looking car.
Yeah,
and it fit the vibe so
was cool,
well.
Yeah, the corn can.
Also, the surprisingly, Kaz Grala's car looked freaking sweet as well. It was a 15 car. It ran in the back most of the day. I only saw it during qualifying, but it was a damn good-looking race car. It was like white and yellow with a little bit of black stencil lining on it.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
Yeah, Busch Beer does some cool stuff. Kevin Harvick, what did he do? What was the tweet about yesterday? Something happened. Something was sponsored or something, and Kevin Harvick posted on Twitter, "Thank God I was sponsored by beer."
Yeah, beer sponsors are never wrong, man.
Also, just to make you feel old, me specifically, yesterday was the first day since 2000, the 2001 Daytona 500, the first race that Harvick and his wife watched together on a Sunday.
Yeah, not at the track.
No, just in general.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They were sitting around drinking wine yesterday, and he was talking about how brutal she was and all this stuff. And someone's like, "I need to hear on the broadcast." He was like, "They'd have to bleep every third word." And then she was like, "I'm not that bad." She said, "You should have seen all the stuff I said about you over the years." It was just a funny interaction.
Golly, that's amazing.
It was a funny interaction, but man.
Hell yeah.
Just like.
Well, she does wear the fire suit.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this is a good episode.
It was, absolutely. And hopefully we get a barn burner at Richmond so that way we have something great to talk about next week.
You mean New Hampshire. You're so focused on not going to New Hampshire, you're thinking about Richmond.
Dude, and what a track to want to go to outside. Yeah. If there's a track that you want to go to,
Richmond's
or
not
you want to leave so
nowadays.
Bad that you're wanting to go to Richmond, damn.
Yeah, it's a bad place.
Oh wow, man! I gotta get more coffee in my system or something. I gotta wake up here. Anyways, let's hope we get a good one next week at New Hampshire, Richmond, wherever the hell we're at. We're looking forward to it. We got another weekend off. Dawson called out sick, and Travis decided that he didn't want to go there without a drum tech.
We do not have a weekend off, actually.
We're still working on Friday, but Dawson already pre-called out for Saturday, so
off.
Yep. Travis said, well, if I can't have my drum tech there, then I guess nobody's going. So Dawson cost us an entire day's worth of show pay.
That's it.
So everybody light him up in the comments. I can't believe he did that to us.
I was missing. I just could not go to Bay City, Michigan again.
Yeah, he could not go back again. He said, man, there's this great racetrack in New Hampshire. I can't wait to watch the Xfinity cars go around it. I think Shane Van Gisbergen gets his first oval win. These were exact words that Dawson said, by the way. So he said, Travis, I just can't do this. Dawson's not the most popular guy.
I want to put something out there for the world.
Golly, what, a job application?
No, not yet. But, okay, not this. Okay, look. I'm not saying, by no means, I am not saying Shane Van Gisbergen is going to win the Xfinity Series title. But a few months ago, I accidentally put him in for a race win at COTA, and I put him to win the Xfinity Series title. My man's sitting fourth in points right now with 11 bonus points going in. I'm just saying, hey, no chance it happens, but it makes me feel a lot better about my bet than it used to.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, the 2 wins back-to-back really helped old boy out here, and it just gives me something.
You can't cash out.
I can't cash out. Maybe now, actually, I can cash out. I wonder if that's an option now that he's like doing way better than he was before.
DraftKings has already spent the money that you gave them. I think they even looked at that and said, "This dipshit put this bet in. We're not even. There's no way that bet cashes. They've already spent the money you were supposed to win on that bet."
That's so funny. I don't know if I've ever said that on here, but that's hilarious. But just to say, it does make me feel better that he's got 11 playoff points and he's sitting fourth in points. I do want to say that.
About that. All the way
when it happened, I thought about it. I was like, damn, he's in the playoffs now. That's pretty cool. And then he went back to back, and I see his points, and I was like, okay, like he's got as many wins as Austin Hill. Like, give me a break.
Work.
Yeah, give me a break here. This is great. I need that
Golly.
motherfucker to start practicing at Phoenix right now.
Oh,
Start
man.
right now
You got
practicing
me
at
dying,
Phoenix.
dude. You got me dying. That's incredible. Anyways, I don't even know where to go off of that one. You can find me
We'll
everywhere.
see y'all
at
next
Caleb.
week.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere at Caleb Conrady on Instagram, TikTok, and at the bar any other day of the week.
Dawson Edwards music across the board for me.
Heck yeah, and don't forget to follow Raised Rowdy Racing all over the place. Nikki T, Matt Burrell, thanks for everything they do. And holy crap.
Look,
Jesus.
I bought this drunk in Panama City a couple years ago, and I just opened the drawer of my desk, and I forgot it was sitting in there.
And it's
This
a
guy-
whole crocodile head.
This guy needs a name.
Or alligator head.
This guy needs a name.
The alligator?
Yeah.
Man, we're going to have to bring him in on the show. So Dawson's got
this
this
is the
alligator
mascot.
head.
This is the Raised Rowdy Racing mascot right here.
Bam, big gator fan. Weird. I didn't think you were that big into Florida. Yeah.
This
So
only
Dawson's
cost
got
a couple bucks, so I was like, yeah, I'm
Dawson's
gonna
got
get
an
that.
alligator head up here. Well, yeah, we're gonna have to find something to do it. Oh shoot!
Anyway,
That's amazing.
Well,
Didn't see that one
y'all
coming.
give us some names to this old boy. This is an alligator here.
Anybody got any good alligator names? Well, anyways, on that wild ass note, thanks for listening, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of your week, and let's go, Blaney.
See y'all.